1832. So he was in jail a lot. He had some problems. 1855, he was charged with forging somebody else's signature. A year later, he was charged with using an alias, Franklin Alexander, to pass $120 in counterfeit bills that he knew was counterfeit. So in 1857, this is all before the Civil War, he was in court and they found him guilty. They sentenced him to the public whipping post where he received 39 lashes. And he would remain in the pillory for an hour afterwards. With your head and hands.
Yeah.
39 lashes seems like a weird number, but historically they decided that 40 lashes would kill somebody. And so 39 was the most
They were lenient.
Yeah.
So they said.
We don't want you to die.
Yeah.
We just want you to wish you were.
Lord.
So, okay, then moving up a couple years, 1860. All his neighbors petitioned the county government to pardon him for passing that counterfeit money. They said he was only 20 years old at the time. He didn't know any better. He was really 28, which makes a difference. 102 people, though, of his neighbors signed that petition in court saying, we think you should exonerate him, even though he'd already been lashed. But they approved it, and he was successfully pardoned from that crime. So it's more of a symbolic thing, I suppose. This is the first page of that petition. You can pass it around. And then a picture of Richard Sidden on the backside. That's the man who's buried right here. So if you're from this area, you'll see a lot of names on that petition for people you might recognize, or family names that are still living here. So 1860, 1861, the Civil War comes up. He enlists in 1862, but it probably was not voluntary, because 3 months later, he was listed as a deserter in his regiment. You know, he was a farmer. He had a wife and kids at home.
Yeah.
He had no interest in any war, Union or Confederate side. Just leave me out of it. So he hid in the mountains. He hid until, according to the family story, the home guard found him, find him in his hiding place. Probably in one of these valleys, somewhere in this area. They got him. They staked him to the ground, tied him up, staked him to the ground, spread out, left him to die.
Damn.
But somebody came around later, found him almost dead, covered in ants, they said. I mean, he was bad shape. But he lived through it. And you can see he died in 1925, in his 90s. He's a tough rascal. He named one of his sons Abraham Lincoln Sidden. So if you have any question about what his allegiance was to during the Civil War, he probably took offense to the local home guard staking him to the ground. And he says, I don't care what side you're on, I'm on the other side. So he was in favor of the Union. So you think all that would be enough to kind of cure his criminal, forgery, counterfeit? Nope. 1864, so the war's still going on. He was charged with violently stealing 2 blankets from Benyon Tucker and others. His brother William Sidden put up the bail money and he got out. A month after that, him and 2 other guys who lived in this area violently entered the home of Francis Harris and stole 2 bee stands, 10 pounds of honeycomb, a quilt, fabric, a bucket, and some other items.
Yeah.
They listed everything. So he was charged with forcible trespass in 1866. 1865. He made it. He assaulted the local justice of the peace, Wesley Joines, and imprisoned him for 10 hours. Held him. So he was charged for that in 1866.
Was
Why
one
didn't-
of the prior people who had arrested him?
Possibly. I'm sure there's several of those.
Do we know why anybody liked him?
He was one of these mountain men who
He probably helped.
he was probably
Neighbors.
one of the friendliest guys, you know, but if you ever did anything he didn't like, he was not your friend. You know, I know people like that now. You know, they're super nice as long as you agree with them all the time. You know. So the lady he stole blankets from and the honeycomb from, Frances Harris, she was the wife of Charles Harris, who lived real close to Old Roaring River Baptist Church, which is just outside of the park on Long Bottom Road. Her husband, Charles Harris, was the manager for the Siamese twins.
Damn.
You know, King and Chang Bunker came from New York, or came from all over traveling, settled in Wilkes County in 1837, and lived in the house right behind where the church is now. The house is still standing. And he was their manager. He lived